And look, political leadership is only one aspect. And it saddens me that we've also colonized or contained our minds to be like the only people that can free us are politicians. Because all the examples you used, the Jewish community, the Afrikaner community, the Italians, the Greeks, the Indians, etc., they found good leadership that was focused on putting their group first. Whether that leadership is political, the National Party, whether that group is a business group, whether that group ends up actually funding another group which is in power, could be a Jewish group that funds Nelson Mandela's ANC, the Eric Sampsons of this world, the Nati Kirsches of this world, the Brian Joffes of this world. But they make sure that as much as we are friends with Nelson Mandela, what a great man, great statesman, but we always, look, this is my community, please make sure that we are okay as well. Africans, Black Africans, and in particular Black South Africans, seem to be struggling with finding those type of leaders. And you're almost emphasizing that this has been their failure, the ANC, to say, if we are claiming to be a group that's meant to emancipate Black people, it doesn't have to be all of them. The rest can all get jobs. Like, guys, we're going to be a group of, let's say, the same 19,000. But we're going to be so focused as a Black Business Council, as a NEFCOC, to say, you guys must make sure you're creating jobs so that when they ask us questions, we'll say the 19,000s could be half Indians as well. But let's say 10,000 Black Africans who have money. You guys must create the jobs. And then we'll become like a Broederbond. Vositebe spoke about Fargin with the Jewish community, whatever group that it is. And then we'll do it. But they're failing. And for someone like myself, it's like, if they're not going to do it, maybe I need to look somewhere else. Not necessarily as a Black African, but let's say I was. And say, look, I want a leader that sounds like what the Broederbond leadership sounded like. That sounds like what Jewish leaders sounded like. Never again. That sounds like whatever the Muslim, I don't know, it's judicial council, whatever it is in this country, what they sound like, so that they put us first and they move accordingly. And it's upsetting. But that's what I wanted to say. Sorry.
Before you go on,
I've got a question for you, and it was meant to come earlier, but I'll raise it now when you're done.
I think we need to accept that the system that we're living in is new to us. And so Africans are going to take time before they fully understand how to play this game. And we were discussing just before with Teo about the book, The Lie of 1652. And he was acknowledging and appreciating the Black entrepreneurship that was behind this guy called Ashmao, who I said established himself as a trader within the Cape Port. He actually at some point became the port master of the area. And he was the one who was conducting business. But the very first thing that happened is he got arrested. People like him got killed for trying to create Black entrepreneurs and Black Broederbonds.
Yeah, and the organizations also get infiltrated.
And you need to remember that the divide and conquer has not stopped till today. If you look right now at the political space, Black people have formed little splinter parties after another just because they're getting financed by white capital to go against their own self-interest. Gayton Mackenzie is busy making Zimbabweans sound like the enemy, Mozambicans sound like the enemy, while somebody is in the Cape wanting Cape independence and to take a portion of Gayton's country and where he supposedly comes from. And he's got no problem with that. That is indicative of why it's difficult for people to have a political ideology that teaches Black people to come together, buy together, and create an economic system that is going to advance them. And you have to know that there was never a school where the ANC was going to be taught how to create a Black political institution, which they created successfully, and then create a liberation movement, which they created successfully, and then create an economic liberation movement. You can't do everything all the time. You can't master everything all at once. The economic emancipation leg of the struggle is what they're learning now. Even ZANU-PF, it took them 20 years to understand.
But they're keeping us from helping them.
To a certain extent, that's true. But the fact that we're having this conversation now, there is somebody who's listening. And you might say, well, we've been talking for a long time. I just gave you the example of how Zimbabwe's position in this region and the support it has been getting from the ANC has changed ever since we started having these discussions. Whether we are the influence or not, the point is that there has been a change that happened once we started having these discussions. So these discussions are important. because we don't have think tanks. We don't have Broederbond think tanks. We don't have the Council on Foreign Relations think tanks to have these conversations. But at some point, we're going to have to understand that we have to put our political issues on the side, and we have to now start taking our ideological similarities to help us create institutions, organizations that are non-political, to think tank our way out of the crisis that we are not only in South Africa, but the whole of Africa.
I want to reference the book that you referenced, The Lie of 1652, A Decolonized History of Land, by Patrick Tariq Mellet. I hope I pronounced that correctly, for anyone who's interested. I'm not going to defend Gayton. I'm currently looking to potentially vote for Gayton under the PA. I don't really know the Patriotic Alliance besides Ukeni Kunene. I don't know the people behind it. I like Gayton personally. And of the options, what you're saying about the ANC is the best vehicle for the average black South African is what you're saying. For me personally, with my little vote, Gayton sounds like the best option for me now, but he's not by far the best. Some of the other guys are very close to him.
But doesn't Gayton remind you of the very same people mentioned in this book by Tariq, that they were these sellouts?
So I wanted to address that.
Khoi sellouts who were co-opted by the Boers to actually form commandos that went to hunt the San and other black peoples. That's what I think of when I think of Gayton.
No, I hear you. And I
sell
understand.
out a person who will get used by white people.
Herman Mashaba?
Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just
The reason why I
confirm
just
the
used
consistency.
Gayton is that usually the coloureds like to give themselves a parallel with the San and the Khoi. But people like Gayton were co-opted as a Khoi to go out and kill other Khoi in the San, to destroy them so that the Boers can take over their land.
Sure.
And that's what I feel Gayton is doing when he keeps quiet about the issue of Cape secession, but he's busy focusing on foreigners who've never been really a big problem to South Africa, because crime rates actually went down since foreigners started coming into this country, ironically.
Yeah, we're not going to go on that last line.
It's important for us to go on that last line.
So let me just address what I wanted to